What's up, YouTube? Today I'm about to take down the rear subframe on my 2008 Cadillac CTS. The reasons being is because I have a suspected fuel leak. All arrows are pointing towards above the tank or at the fuel pump. There is no access panel underneath the seat, and I'm not cutting my car to make one, so I'm going to do it the hard way. Unfortunately, Cadillac decided to put the straps to drop the tank beneath the subframe, so the whole rear end has to come down in order to get the tank down. And so this is what we're gonna do. So of course I'm gonna start out here, and I'm just gonna jack the car up. I'm just showing the whole process because I actually looked online to see if anybody has done this before, to see if I could get like some type of guidance or something, and there is nothing online at all. As far as, there's like one video I saw, and the dude just showed the aftermath of him taking his tank down. So I figured I'd do a start to finish so that we'll get it. It'll be out there for those of you that need it. So as you can see, I've jacked up the front of the car, and now I'm jacking up the rear of the car. The reason why the front of the car needs to be lifted is because the exhaust in the drive shaft is going to have to come out. Cadillac had the great idea of putting the gas tank over the top of both of these, so you got to pull them out in order to get the gas tank down. So right now I'm just setting up. And yes, you guys are going to have to watch me take my wheels off. I probably shouldn't have made this scene this long, because now I feel like I'm being silent too long. But like I said, I'm just taking the wheels off, getting ready to start pulling all this crap off this car. The coming down of all this actually took a span of 3 days, but that was with me working on the car for about 2 to 3 hours at a time. I didn't go hard the whole time, so I'm pretty sure you can do this in a day, but it took me 3 days. Like I said, I'm only working on the car for like 2 to 3 hours at a time. So I got the wheels and stuff off. So I'm starting out with the exhaust, of course. That's the lowest portion of the car. So you always start from the lowest, of course, because it's in the way of everything else. And everything is kind of rusted on, or surface rusted on, and I did not have PB Blaster and did not want to go get any, so I didn't. So this technique right here is a technique that you can use to get a little bit more leverage on the wrenches when you have stubborn bolts or nuts. Just like that, breaks the torque. These nuts probably had to be like the hardest ones that for me to get off, and it was probably just because of the angle. You don't got a lot of leverage laying on your back with your hands above your head, so you're not as strong as you would be if, let's say, you're like sitting on the side of the car and pushing something. So of course this car, if you have this car, you know that it has 2 tailpipes coming out the back side, so you're going to be removing two pipes. So this is the passenger side that we're briefly going to show. And you see I'm struggling pretty much trying to get that nut off. And this is my first video that I made. Normally when I'm doing a job on a vehicle, let me pause right now. This is the Bank 2 O2 sensor, and yeah, so I'm just showing that had to come off. I'm showing you every single possible step that you would need to know to get this off. Alright, but anyways, this is my first YouTube video, so I'm not real good with the camera angles, and I was trying to stay out from in front of the camera, but I am lying underneath a car, and there's not a lot of room for much. I cut like some of this part out, but if you can see that this cross member here looks damaged over on the left side of the screen, it was actually bent. At some point I ran over something, and I had to use like some vice grips to bend it out of place, but it was relatively simple after that. I don't even know what its function is, honestly. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't hold that pipe up. That pipe stayed up. The forward bolts are already disconnected. The only thing that's on are these rear hangers, and it's still straight as if something else is holding it. I was surprised. I thought I'd be fighting it. And that's your left hanger, and we're on our right, or passenger side. You see, I had to go get some goggles. I was getting a lot of debris falling off the top of the car into my eyes. There you go. Step 1 or 3 is complete. The exhaust is down. And this exhaust is extremely heavy. Well, it's probably the heaviest one I've held in my hand, but I mean, I've taken out like Rice Burner or Honda Civics. Nothing like this. Alright, this is the heat shield right here that separates the exhaust pipe from the drive shaft. It just the exhaust shaft goes underneath it, and then of course the drive shaft is right there. So this is what we're trying to access right now. We're trying to get to the drive shaft.
Oh shit!
You see, I'm using some panel pullers because I'm attempting to save my buttons that snap in, because yeah, I'm cheap like that. That's one side off, and my panel pullers are ruined. They'll probably never be used on the inside of my car because they're filthy now. And so here's the drive shaft here. I want to say that the nut and bolts on those are 19 millimeter. Yes, 19 millimeter they were. I want to try to remember all these sizes because I want to make anybody using this video to get this accomplished. I'm going to make it as easy as possible. So 19 millimeter going around. What I did was I had my wife push the emergency brake down while I was untorquing them or breaking the torque on them, and then she would release it, and the car was in neutral so that I could spin it to gain access to the the rest of the nuts and bolts. And as you can see, it's getting dark. It's dark now, so I got like lights, terrible lighting, and so hopefully if I continue making videos, I'll improve my lighting situation. But I was using flashlights and weird magnetic lights to light up the components that I'm trying to show. Alright, so right here what I'm doing is I'm taking off the brake, because there only one brake on the car, which is the passenger side brake, needs to be removed, because that is the only brake that is connected to the subframe and the car. And so there's two lines that you could have removed, but I'm going to show you where there's just that it's hard to get to. So there's one line that you can do, and then you would have to remove the caliper here and then hang it. I just used a piece of wire and hung it from the shock strut, but I could have left it on the wheel if I would have taken away the two brake lines that you can see right there. But you see this one right here, if you just disconnect this one right here, then it'll be okay. You just pull that off, and then you pull the clamp and remove it, and then there's no connection to the brake system in the subframe after that. See right there, that's how I did it. That's the clamp. I just stuck it on the end of there so that I don't lose it. But it goes on the other side. That's what keeps it in that bracket. So right here, I am removing the shock strut on the driver's side. The previous night, I didn't say it, but that's what I did. I was the bolt that I was doing on the lower head. That's the shock strut. And, I can't for the life of me remember the size of that bolt right now, so I'm sorry. But that's it. Shock struts down, and we're gonna go and support the subframe. And this subframe is extremely heavy. I'm sure this would have been a lot easier if I had a lift, but I don't. So, and most people watching this is probably not going to have a lift. And so this is some board some shelving that I'm using to spread the load onto my differential right there, because that's what that is. And these are the mounts right here. The aft mounts are 21 millimeter, and the forward mounts are 24 millimeter. So those are the only, it's just these four mounts look all the same that are attaching the subframe to the car. So we're using that. As you can see, I use wrenches and breaker bars before I use my ratchets. People, this is how we save our ratchets and we don't break them. You're not supposed to break torque with ratchets. This is the forward one. As you can see, I had to get the half-inch drive with the 24 on there, 24 millimeter. And in hindsight, I probably wouldn't have disconnected that brake line until I was ready to drop the subframe, but you know, I got a little ahead of myself, and I am learning as I go. This is just me showing you how I did it. There's probably a few other correct ways to do it, but I'm certain I'm doing it one of them. And I'm on the driver's side now, removing the same thing. This is a driver aft, 21 millimeter, using a wrench. There you have it. All right. Now we're ready to lower the subframe. So what you're going to do is like you just want to come down slightly, just enough so that you can see, because if there's any lines connected, wires, you want to make sure that you've disconnected them before you go to dropping it. You don't want to yank. See, case in point, there's one right here. Don't ask me what that line, that wires to. I just know it's connected, and it will be connected back when I put it back up. And if you saw, there was like a slight jar when it dropped, and this wire that I'm holding, it was still connected. I did not see it when I did my assessment, and it just popped off. Luckily, it didn't break. The clasp is still good, but that almost turned bad. I would have had to solder that thing back together. So now the subframe's all the way down, sitting on the floor. And so now this is what all of this was for, is getting to this tank and these straps right here. See, right here, I got this other piece of shelving that's really long, and I had the bright idea that it would balance the tank a lot better. And you'll see later in the video that it was a dumb idea, because I'm actually going to drop the tank a little bit because I need to move this in order to get the straps off. And I should have used a shorter piece of board, but you know, it's just one of those things. So right now, see these bolts right here? These are the bolts that the subframe were hiding. This is why it's absolutely impossible to get that tank down unless you cut your straps, and then how are you going to get it back up? And so you got to do this to get this tank down. So that was the right side. Now I'm on the left side with it. Going the wrong way with the breaker bar. If they wanted you to go the right way the first time, they would have put arrows on it. Lamp was broke on this, so I just pulled it out with some pliers. That's what you saw. This is the filler neck that I'm pulling off right now. You see the tanks coming down all awkward. I kind of cut out some of it. It was really long. You see the boards are laying there, and it fell a little bit. It didn't fall like hard, but it slipped off. So right here, I'm trying to point to you at where the leak was. Like from my eye, the camera's doing it no justice. That elbow is really shiny, so I have reason to believe that's where the deal is.
So here we go.
So I got the tank out, and so now you can see. And so you can really tell that this is where the leak is, because it's really dirty, and then like the top of this is clean, and you see I'm shaking it, and if you look closely at the bottom of that black portion, there's a crack. And I'm trying to point and shoot at the same time, but I'm a terrible cameraman.
Right there's a crack.
And so right now, I'm trying to check and see which type of fuel pump I need to order, because of course it's broken because of the crack. And there's two different types. There's one with a leveling arm, and then there's one without. And if you have the one without, then you're lucky, because it's the least expensive one. And so here it is. It's going to be coming off any minute now. And as you can see, I have the leveling arm. You see the little bar there. That's the fuel pump out.
The frickin' float.